Yeah, man! Welcome to the Dapper Yankee OG ranking and review. Dapper Yankee is known for their no-nonsense experience and fresh, manly scents. With a strong list of OGs, it's difficult to pick just a few to try, but thankfully, they do offer a sample pack, something I wish more companies did. So today I will be reviewing all of the OGs in the sample pack, and what better way to do that than a good old-fashioned ranking of worst to best. Now before we begin, a couple of things. Dapper Yankee bars tend to use these same ingredients, with really only the scent and color being different in most cases, so that keeps things relatively simple. However, there are some exceptions, usually with ones that contain grit or some other unique ingredient, which I'll mention when we come across it. So I have not actually used all of these in the shower, as I feel that's a bit unnecessary, but I have washed my hands with each one to at least get a feel for it, test for grit, and all that. The sample pack comes in a nice little drawstring bag, and each sample is individually wrapped with a label. These are also a pretty good size, being thicker than you might expect. You should be able to get 1 or 2 showers out of each one. Now I believe the contents of it are subject to change, and I ordered this a couple months ago, so I don't believe I have all of the current offerings, but there's still a lot here, 18 of them. So let's get into it. Well, I suppose every soap company has to have a coffee brick, and the grounded is Dapper Yankees. Now I love coffee, and even love coffee flavored things generally, but I've never been much of a fan of coffee soap bars, especially when it comes to coffee grounds being used for grit, which this brick has. Although I didn't find them to be too obnoxious here, they didn't come off of the bar as much as some others, and there was about a medium grit amount of them. The scent is more chocolate than coffee, giving it somewhat of a rich mocha smell. It's not bad, but it's not really my type of brick. The Citrus Blonde IPA was one I didn't care for all that much, but I don't think it's bad. This is mostly an orange and grapefruit scent, although I don't find it to be all that refreshing, especially when compared to something like Dr. Squatch's Grapefruit IPA. I don't really smell any hops either. There's just a note of something, maybe patchouli, that's kind of musky, and I don't think pairs all that well with the citrus, which is otherwise pretty good. It didn't help that I found the potency to be weaker than the others as well. It's not a bad scent, but I think Dapper has much better ones. This bar also contains oats for a nice light to medium grit. I found it to be a nice amount. You can see that they didn't skimp out on it. The Lotta Colada is about what you'd expect. It's a pina colada scented bar. There's notes of coconut, pineapple, and in my experience, a slight kick of jalapeno. It's not overly sweet, instead it's mostly a fresh scent, and a pretty strong one too. This bar also features coconut shreds for a light grit. In my using of the sample bar, I found it added a nice touch of exfoliation. I'm not sure why exactly, perhaps due to the coconut, but I did find this one to have a silkier lather than many of the others as well. The Glacier Ridge is a very fresh bar. There are several with this sort of icy blue vibe. A lot of Dapper Yankee bricks remind me of Yankee candles, but I don't mean that as a negative, as I find I like the scents a lot. Glacier Ridge is a fresh, sporty, icy scent that, like the website describes, reminds you of crisp Alaskan air. This one also has 2 unique ingredients. One is pumice, which I found worked very well here for a medium grit. It did feel a little bit different than pumice in Dr. Squatch or Sudsy Bear bars, as it's very finely ground up and does a good job of staying within the brick. The bar also contains menthol crystals for an icy touch, although I can't say I really noticed these that much. The Fresh Coast is another cool, fresh smelling bar. Can blue be described as a scent note? Because that's what I think of with this brick, and that's also probably in part due to its pretty ocean color. This is really a refreshing ocean type of scent that is quite potent as well. Now the bar I have does look a lot different than the one on the website, so I believe the formula has changed. The website shows tapioca as an ingredient, which is a starch and is meant to add a heavy grit. With the sample bar I have, I found it to be mostly smooth, with some small chunks of something, but nothing more than light grit. Again though, that's probably not the case with the current brick. The Blue Tropics is yet another blue bar, but it's much less cool than the others, and instead has a lot of warmth to it, so it almost has a vibe of a sunny beach. There's some refreshing citrus notes, but a good amount of vanilla, amber, and musk that do stand out a lot here. The scent is more complex than some others. The Traveler is one of the more bold ones ones on the menu. It's a pretty strong scent with a good potency. The website describes it as a complex fragrance with many different fruits, meaning Caribbean spices and some woodsiness. However, all I really smell is the cinnamon and cloves, which isn't bad by any means. I think I can smell a little bit of the balsam fir, and even a bit of the strawberry, enough to take some of the spicy edge off, but this is definitely a cinnamon and cloves scent, at least in my experience. The bar also contains a medium grit via pumice that I found to be a good amount and feel nice. The Gameday is a bar inspired by Ohio State football, and as a Penn State alum, I can't really vibe with that, but I can vibe with the soap itself. It's a scandalous scent, and one of the harder ones for me to describe. Like many on this list, it's more of a cologne scent, but it's not a gentleman one. Instead, it's more sporty, which is fitting given its theme. It's very light though, but also very fresh. It's kind of a cheaper cologne scent that's a little generic, but not bad by any means. Now the website does say that it contains a medium grit via pumice, although in my experience, I didn't really notice any. Instead it was smooth, like Ohio State with the refs. The Bourbon Legend is Dapper's whiskey bar, and while it's not as fresh as many others, it's certainly a manly scent. This one is a very musky, spicy scent, with heavy notes of sandalwood and oak. I tend to like bourbon style scents, but I think this is a decent one. It's relaxing, warm, and manly. The Sierra Pine is where things really start to take it up a notch. It's a pine scent and the most natural smelling so far. It smells and even looks a lot like Dr. Squatch's Snowy Pine Tar, although I don't think the Sierra Pine is quite as good. Still though, I do like this one. The scent is strong and it's a pine balsam fir one that you can never go wrong with. I always appreciate a good outdoorsy, woodsy scent, and this is one of them. Now you'd maybe expect to see this one have some more natural, unique ingredients, maybe pine or fir essential oils, but the only ingredient of note is pumice, which is again more of a medium amount and felt nice. The Fireside has a very unique scent. It smells just like a campfire. It's a very smoky, somewhat earthy smell, but it's straightforward. It's a campfire scent, which you may or may not like. I personally do like it, but I like some others a bit more. This bar also has activated charcoal as an ingredient. The Engine 9 is a bar that quickly grew on me. At first I was like, what is that scent and why does it smell familiar? But after reading the scent description, it was clear it's a barbershop scent. And this one smells just like the barbershop I go to, so it's more reminiscent of a modern barber than a vintage one, like with Sudsy Bear's barbershop. It's clean, fresh, and a bit citrusy. It does contain pumice for some added exfoliation, which was heavier than I was expecting, probably being the heaviest of the pack, but a good amount in my opinion. The Engine 9 is also a tribute to firefighters, with a portion of the sales going to support them, so that's cool. Like many Dapper bars, the Rodeo Man is another with a fresh, manly scent. To me it kind of has a bit of a leather scent to it. It reminded me of like walking into a leather jacket shop. It's not as intense as something like the Maverick Musk from Dr. Squatch. Instead it's much more light, airy, and fresh, as it also has fresh, woodsy notes, mostly of pine and fir, as well as a pleasant hint of bergamot and citrus. The Humidor is another bar that quickly grew on me. This is a strong, warm tobacco scent that anyone who enjoys a nice pipe of tobacco or cigar will appreciate. There's notes of vanilla and a bit of sweetness to it, although I'd say it's more warm than sweet. I love the smell of tobacco, especially good pipe tobacco, so this is one that I quite enjoyed. Here's where we take things up a notch again, as I find the Newcastle is a great combination of the Humidor and Rodeo Man, taking the best aspects from both of their scents. It's another warm tobacco scent with some sweet vanilla, but also surprisingly fresh with a slight touch of leather, spice, and fir. It's more airy and refreshing than the other two. I find it to be a very well layered and complex scent that manages to include many great notes. The Tea Tree Mint might be the strongest scent potency-wise out of the pack, and thankfully it's a good one, being very fresh and clean smelling. This one's also got some nice unique ingredients, such as peppermint and tea tree essential oils, both of which have a lot of skin benefits to add to the soap, but they also provide that strong scent as well. The scent is pretty much tea tree and peppermint, so minty, medicinal, cool, and crisp. It's a really good combo actually, very fresh, vibrant, and outdoorsy. We also have peppermint leaves and activated charcoal in this bar, which while the bar is still smooth, I did find it to feel more exfoliating than the other zero grits, so therefore likely a deeper clean as well. Now as far as I can tell, this is the most natural bar from Dapper Yankee, at least in this sample pack. According to the ingredients, there is no added fragrance, only the essential oil blend, and there is no mica or colorant, just the charcoal, so it's nice to see them offer a bar like this. And I hope they add more in the future because they really nailed it with this one. When I initially smelled each sample, there was one that stood out from the beginning, and that was the Arctic Blueberry. Dapper has a lot of these blue bars, but this is easily the best. The blueberry here isn't as fruity as something like the Blueberries and Cream from Sudsy Bear, or the Blueberry from Grizzly Naturals. Instead, it's a more cool, fresh scent. There's definitely blueberry here, but also an icy Arctic vibe, which makes it very clean, refreshing, and relaxing. As you can tell, the bar looks quite different from the others as well, with a bit of a different texture to it. It's honestly really cool looking though. Reminds me of like a Van Gogh painting or something. It's also got a longer list of unique ingredients than most other bars as well, including actual dehydrated blueberries, which I always appreciate when a bar actually contains the fruit its scent is based on, instead of just fragrance oil. We also got poppy seeds for a medium grit, although I didn't find these to be as noticeable as the pumice was in others. The seeds seem to be few and far between, but do add a bit more exfoliation to an otherwise smooth brick. And finally, we have my beloved menthol crystals, meant to add an icy feel to the bar. But like with the Glacier Ridge, it's not a huge amount, although it is enough for a slight chilling touch, which I'll always enjoy. I don't think the Arctic Blueberry is my favorite blueberry bar out there, but it is a unique design with a scent that I really like. It may or may not be surprising, but it's the root beer barrel that takes the #1 spot today. As I was browsing through the Dapper menu, I wanted to grab at least one full bar from the pack that I could showcase for the video, and when I saw a root beer brick with goat's milk, I knew, even before ordering, that this one was going to be highly ranked. And turns out it is my favorite from the pack. Now, I'm actually a pretty big fan of root beer, so I find this bar very satisfying. It's a pretty strong scent that smells just like root beer. Like the mug Bulldog, it's cocky. It's not freaking around with other notes. It's just straight up root beer. Take it or leave it. I also love the inclusion of goat's milk as an ingredient, the only bar that does so. Now you mains know I love goat's milk, and I think it really helps elevate this brick to another level. I think the lather feels better than most other Dapper bars, as it feels more moisturizing and deep cleaning, despite not having any grit. And again, when you factor in that root beer scent, I think you got a hell of a brick. If you're one of those guys that keeps asking Squatch to make a root beer bar, I'd recommend nabbing this boy. Overall, I had a lot of fun sampling these bars. There were some that I found to be forgettable, but I enjoyed at least trying them, and there were some that I was pleasantly surprised by, as well as those that I liked a lot. I guess that's the point of a sample pack, to try them all out and figure out what you like. So I appreciate that Dapper Yankee offers this. I wish other companies did as well. There are some more bars for me to still try, but I think I have a good feel of the brand now. But let me know which Dapper brick is your favorite. Let me know what you think of my list. Until next time, Frick Nation, stay nifty.
Yeah!